Today's Explainer. Today, we're going to meticulously untangle the absolute web of facts, physics, and, well, wild rumors surrounding the tragic death of Maharashtra Deputy CM Ajit Pawar. It's a story that has completely gripped a nation, sitting right at this chaotic intersection of a devastating aviation accident, intense political rivalries, and the modern phenomenon of rapid-fire digital misinformation. So my goal today is to help us cut through all that noise. We're going to get a crystal clear understanding of what we actually know, what the aviation experts are saying, and why the public reaction has been so downright explosive.
Here is a quick look at our roadmap. We'll start with the Baramati plane crash, then look at how political conspiracy theories erupted, dive into 3 aviation crash theories, break down the Wikipedia time hoax, look at the historical precedent of Ajit Sarkar, and finally, awaiting the final truth. All right, let's jump right in.
Section 1. The Baramati plane crash, the undisputed facts.
So, the morning of January 28th really started out completely routine, but man, it ended in absolute tragedy. The 16-year-old Learjet 45XR, registered as VTSSK, departed Mumbai at exactly 8 a.m. Indian Standard Time. Just 44 minutes later, at 8:44 a.m., it met with disaster during a second landing attempt on Baramati's runway 11. Right after the crash, a 3-day state mourning period was immediately declared.
Now, getting into the specifics, the aircraft was operated by a Delhi-based company called VSR Aviation. It veered violently off the runway, burst into flames, and was completely destroyed on impact. 5 lives were tragically lost that morning. Ajit Pawar himself, his personal security officer Vidit Jadhav, the pilot in command Sumit Kapoor, first officer Shambhavi Pathak, and cabin crew member Pinky Mali. Pawar was actually traveling back to his stronghold of Baramati to address a series of public meetings for the upcoming Zilla Parishad elections. Now, those are the cold, hard, undisputed facts. But as you probably know, almost immediately the narrative started to shift.
Section 2. Political conspiracy theories erupt. The partisan divide.
Right out of the gate, TMC chief Mamata Banerjee framed this whole incident as a potential political conspiracy. She publicly demanded a Supreme Court-supervised probe, basically stating that all other agencies were compromised. She specifically pointed to alleged reports from just 2 days prior, suggesting Pawar was gearing up to leave the ruling alliance and actually return to the NCP faction led by his uncle, Sharad Pawar.
But on the flip side, you had BJP figures like Kangana Ranaut pushing back incredibly hard, which really highlights the deep political tensions here. Ranaut called the statements petty and urged restraint, pointing out that, politicians travel by helicopter and aircraft all the time. Her stance was that the focus should firmly remain on mourning the tragic loss of life rather than jumping straight into political finger-pointing.
And the noise really just came from all sides, amplifying these suspicions. You had Ajit Pawar's nephew, Rohit Pawar, holding press conferences alleging corporate and political links between VSR Aviation and leaders of the TDP. He even demanded the resignation of the aviation minister to guarantee a fair DGCA probe. Then Congress leader Vijay Wadetiwar claimed a staggering 80% of the public suspects foul play, questioning what he called alleged last-minute pilot changes. Sanjay Raut called the timing heavily suspicious, echoing those rumors about Pawar wanting to leave the NDA. And NCP MLC Amol Madgari raised eyebrows by questioning how bodies were burned in the wreckage while pieces of paper reportedly survived intact. So yeah, the political atmosphere was, and definitely still is, highly charged.
Section 3. 3 aviation crash theories. The physics of the tragedy.
Okay, to really grasp what the actual experts are saying, we kind of need a quick physics lesson on what an aerodynamic stall actually is. A stall isn't about the aircraft's engine just suddenly dying, it's entirely about physics. It happens when the speed or the angle of an aircraft hits a point where the wings literally stop producing lift. The CCTV footage of the crash showed the Learjet's left wing dropping suddenly mid-air right before it crashed in a ball of flames.
So aviation experts have heavily reviewed that footage and basically zeroed in on 3 possible theories. Theory 1 is the aerodynamic stall we just talked about. The aircraft got too slow while maneuvering, drag increased, lift dropped off, and that left wing just stalled out. Theory 2 is an actual engine failure. Because the Learjet 45 has its engines mounted on the tail, losing power on one side creates what's called asymmetrical thrust. That forcefully pulls the aircraft to one side, which is an incredibly difficult situation to recover from when you're at a low altitude. And Theory 3 is visual misjudgment. Baramati Airport relies on visual estimation for landing. Experts are suggesting that a mix of bad sun glare and a really sharp late aggressive maneuver to try and align with the runway might have caused the pilots to simply lose control.
Section 4. The Wikipedia time hoax.
Digital fuel on the fire.
Now, amidst all this technical and political chaos, the internet did what the internet does best. This wild question started tearing through social media platforms, sparking intense theories of premeditated murder. People were sharing screenshots that supposedly showed Ajit Pawar's Wikipedia page had been updated with his date of death hours, sometimes supposedly a full 21 hours before the crash even happened. Crazy, right?
Well, let's break this down, because it's actually pretty simple to debunk once you look at the time zones. Wikipedia's servers operate on Coordinated Universal Time, or UTC. UTC is exactly 5.5 hours behind Indian Standard Time. So if someone made an edit immediately after the morning crash in India, the server timestamp would show up as being in the middle of the night. On top of that, malicious users were utilizing the Inspect Element tool on their web browsers. You know, that old developer trick most middle schoolers use to fake their digital report cards? They were manually altering the text of the timestamps on their own screens before taking screenshots. That artificially created a 21-hour discrepancy, completely manufacturing a conspiracy just for social media clout.
Section 5. Historical Precedent. Ajit Sarkar. Why Conspiracies Take Root.
To really understand why these theories spread like wildfire in India, we've got to look back at a pretty dark historical precedent. We have to contrast the unconfirmed rumors of 2026 with the brutal, totally confirmed political assassination of another Ajit Sarkar, back in 1998. Ajit Sarkar was a grassroots Marxist MLA in Bihar. He fought for the poor, lived very simply, and because he challenged the powerful, he was gunned down in broad daylight in Purnia. His body was riddled with 107 bullets, in a massive case where powerful politicians were directly accused and tried. And this is the psychological anchor, right? It explains exactly why the Indian public's default reaction to a sudden political death is to immediately suspect murder. The memory of real, violently executed political conspiracies from the past creates an environment where a tragic plane crash in the present is instantly viewed through this lens of deep suspicion. Basically, the public remembers that sometimes the conspiracies are actually real.
Section 6. Awaiting the final truth. The flight data recorder.
So how do we actually cut through all this noise, the history, and the hoaxes? It literally all comes down to the recovered black box, which is currently sitting in the custody of the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. The flight data recorder is going to provide the raw telemetry, the exact airspeed, the angle of attack, and the literal physical inputs the pilots were making on the controls in those final, terrifying seconds. Meanwhile, the cockpit voice recorder is going to reveal exactly what pilots Kapoor and Pathak were saying to each other. Interestingly, we already know from air traffic control that absolutely no Mayday call was recorded in the final 60 seconds. That might actually point away from a prolonged mechanical failure and lean more toward a sudden, catastrophic aerodynamic event. But honestly, only this data can confirm the absolute truth.
Which brings us to one final, really critical question to chew on long after this explainer is over. We live in an era where data can be manipulated so easily, and trust in institutions is incredibly fragile. So when the official black box data is finally revealed to the world, will it actually satisfy a public that is already so primed for a conspiracy, or will it just be instantly dismissed by partisans, creating a whole new set of questions? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I will see you in the next explainer.